talking about the biggest mistakes you can make in Dynasty that can hurt your longevity of being a dominant team. Number one for me, always, has been overspending in trades, and specifically in trades that are the running back of the year new hotness. This year it was Antonio Gibson. Last year it was Miles Sanders. And I spent in a couple of leagues a ton, a ton. One league I traded like Cam Akers, and I got Antonio Gibson and a first this year back, which I think is pretty decent value. But like for Miles Sanders, I think I traded Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, and I think like a first round pick, which at the time, keep in mind, Chris Carson was actually still pretty good running back. That was 2 years ago. So, I mean, it's one of those things. And Miles Sanders did not pan out this year or last year. Antonio Gibson, I think, had a decent year, but still left people wanting more for what they either drafted him at or acquired him at trade wise. And, throwing these picks out and the depth I had, if I would have held on to Rashad Penny, I would have been at a better point now than I am with chilling with Miles Sanders and one last first round pick. It's one of those things where I think you kind of have to always have the future in mind as much as, you're kind of always looking to contend now, but like not overextending yourself and overspending in trades, I think is so huge, every year. And I'm sure there'll be a running back this year that does the same thing. We're 2 for 2 the last 2 years, and I'm sure there was one 3 years ago that I just can't think of. That there will be a running back this year that all signs are pointing towards him being God's gift to running backs in 2022. But something, it just won't come to fruition because the buildup is too much. Something just won't work. It won't be that good of an offense. Take your pick. Whatever the reason is, it just won't happen. So my big thing is, don't overspend in trades. Keep yourself in the moment. Don't get big eyes looking at this new God's gift to running backs. And that'd be my big thing, my big, hindrance that I think you can really kind of mess things up a little bit. So what are your thoughts on that?
Trading for running backs is tough. I personally I'm not a fan of it because you can get worked over in that pretty easy. And again, you miss on a running back, it's huge. It's huge to
Right.
miss on a
Yeah.
running back. And it sets you back. It really does in terms of your standing in the league. So I am a trader of the second tier running backs. In this offseason, I've traded for James Conner. I've traded for Khalil Herbert. I've traded for I don't want to call them second tier running backs, but they're the guys who
the Robins.
Yeah, they're exactly. That's the perfect term for them. And they could be a Batman. We don't know.
Absolutely.
So it's a tough spot to be in because it could work out for you. And sometimes it does. I don't want to say it doesn't. But more often than not, you are over trading for running backs, which is a position that loses value in a heartbeat.
Yep,
You're one injury
absolutely.
away from that player never stepping on the field again or not stepping on the field for an entire year, which at running back is 5 years of a player's career. 1 year for a running back is 5 years for a quarterback. Think about that. So it's a spot where are you as a team? Can you get one in the draft? Can you stockpile on Robins, as Bob put it, I think is the situation, because one of those is destined to step up in an injury, or one of those is going to have their Batman tear an ACL in training camp. So can you capitalize on those guys who are going to be significantly cheaper? And if you miss on a Robin, you spend a third round pick or whatever you may have lost in that trade. It's not as significant as a first round pick as in your case, Bob.
I think you make an awesome point there. Targeting those secondhand running backs, I think is a good way to put it, or the Robins, like I mentioned. And, because figure if you had Khalil Herbert, Tony Pollard, Justin Jackson,
James Conner,
James Conner, all of these guys were at some point RB 1s and 2s on a weekly basis, for at least 1 or 2 weeks at a time. So it's just one of those things where it's like, shoot, I think another point you nailed is the, trading for running backs that have such a short term value, but you're making a long-term impact on your team by trading for running backs. So I think, getting running backs at value, like a J.K. Dobbins, versus trading for the running backs that are supposed to be the new hotness coming into the year, I think would be a great takeaway. But moving on to you, Chev, what are your thoughts on, some big mistakes you could make that could really hinder your dynasty league success?
Yeah, Zach kind of hit on it, and you hit on it as well, Bob. So, like for me, when I started out in Dynasty, I was trying to trade for all the hot pieces, all the hot names of like, God, I got to have this guy on my team. If I have him, I'm set. And then I ended up trading way too much away for that piece, and
Hmm.
then they ended up being duds at the moment, and it just really ruined some of my team building moving into the next season. And I like what Zach said, man. Like it's not always trying to trade for those big names while they're hot. You got to find those big name guys when they're maybe at their lowest value and get them while you can, because once they start playing again, their value is just going to explode, man. So Zach, I mean, what you did there was incredible, and that's what we should all be trying to do if we're competing. Find those owners that are just getting upset about these guys not playing well. They're oh man, they're injured. What the crap? They're not going to help me out at
Yeah.
all. What can I do with them? Because those are the guys you should be trying to acquire, not the guys that are Cooper Cups who are just absolutely balling. And now you got to pay a king's ransom for them, and
Yep.
that's not the way to play fantasy football. And that's what really hurt some of my teams early on when I started Dynasty.
Get your hot players, your best players at a value, low risk costs. Not always easy to do because you're not going to be the only one
Hmm.
trying to get in on those deals, and not everybody's going to be willing to move on. Now, I do know we've all made big mistakes in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I know I'm not alone there, so please drop those down in the comments, your biggest mistakes you've ever made and the ones you know you'll never make again. Leave a like if this video was helpful. I do hope that it was. And to avoid more big mistakes in Dynasty, make sure you check out this video here. Chef Zach and I dive into a ton of Dynasty Fantasy Football strategy, and that one, you won't want to miss it. But that is it for me today. I will see y'all in the next one. But until then, y'all have a good one.